Okay, Spence, let's talk a little bit about the Cavaliers' new additions, Lonzo Ball, Larry Nance Jr. in particular. Those two had their first two media sessions earlier this week. Lonzo spoke on Monday, Larry Nance Jr. on Tuesday. I've gone back and listened to both interviews, but you were there for both, so I'll give you the floor on this one. What are your main takeaways from talking to Lonzo and Larry?
So let's just start with Lonzo because he was day one. He just wants to hoop. That guy is chill. I know that's like such a hip term or whatever like that, but he is. He's just legitimately a chill dude that wants to hoop. In terms of his skill set, I just really think that the defense is going to come into play so much. I think that three guard lineups with him could look really interesting with him, Darius, and Donovan, as they've done with Ty Jerome in the past. I also think that you can either spell Darius or Donovan with Lonzo. His health obviously has to be a concern. Just looking at the last 4 seasons, he's played 70 games total. He hasn't played a single playoff game yet, but his skill set seems to fit that playoff mold. And what I mean by that is that he's a consistent ball mover. He does not let it stick when it touches his hands. It's either going to be a pass to the next guy, or he's going to shoot a catch shoot three, or he's going to have a secondary assist. He'll play make. But the number one characteristic I love about Lonzo is when he rebounds the ball, or if a teammate rebounds the ball and he gets the pass, he launches it up the floor. Like if you watch Tyrese Halliburton in the finals and how he throws those like 3/4 court passes down the floor, Lonzo does that same thing. And he is so good at threading the needle. He makes some really, really tight window passes. I think that that's going to be a huge part of the Cavs bench, and he'll be big time with that. And then defensively, I just think his IQ is really high. It's not about his athletic ability anymore. We know that he's gone through the ringer with the knee injury, the wrist, and all those things that's happened. But his like mind for the game is really, really crisp, and I think that's going to help a lot. He's probably going to be a little bit more vocal than what we've seen in the past defensively, and I think again offensively he's kind of an engine in a way, and I like what he brings to the table if he can stay healthy, which the Cavs did everything they could last year to stay healthy. They did it all correct throughout the regular season and then had some really, really bad timing. But I think that performance staff that Kenny Atkinson has is going to do a really good job with Lonzo and with Larry Nance Jr., who I'm sure you're going to ask about next.
Yeah, let me get my 2 cents in on Lonzo here. I love the signing, or the trade, excuse me. They turned Okoro, who great locker room guy, just never truly developed into the top 5 pick the Cavs needed him to be, just didn't have enough of an offensive game to be playable in the playoffs. So you turn a 0 in the playoffs into a guy you hope, and it's a giant hope because, Spence, between you, me, and Lonzo, we've played the exact same amount of playoff games in our NBA careers, which is 0. And Lonzo's only played 70 more games than you and I combined in the NBA over the last 4 seasons. The injury issues with Lonzo are legitimate, and it's a caveat to everything else I'm going to say. But when the dude has been healthy, and last year after missing those 2 seasons with the knee injury, he missed some games with a wrist injury. But he said his knee felt pretty good, and if his knee's good, I'll take that, right? Like that's the debilitating injury that he missed 2 years with. The wrist stuff, whatever, that's a fluky thing. It comes and goes. As long as the knee's good, he's got a chance to play. But it just gives a different element to this team. He gives them a guy with some legitimate size in the backcourt who's a pass first, let everybody else eat before I eat connector. And when we were doing the draft last year, Spence, I kept talking about how I love Tristan Da Silva at Colorado just because I thought he was a guy who connects everyone else on the court. Lonzo's like the peak version of that when he's healthy. Once again, giant caveat, giant win. But he doesn't play like Tristan Da Silva. He plays like an old school point guard who wants to get everyone else involved. If he was the host of UCSS, we'd have everyone talking every day and every topic. And I love Jay Crawford, but sometimes Jay likes to play Allen Iverson-style point guard in the host chair, and it's the opposite with Lonzo Ball. Spence, he'd go you first, he'd go Bull first, and I think the biggest beneficiary of that is going to end up being Evan Mobley, back to our other point. When those second units come in last year, Ty Jerome was a good playmaker for the Cavs. Lonzo Ball has a chance to be a great playmaker. It's going to force Evan Mobley to be even more assertive when he's playing alongside Lonzo because it's taking a shoot-first guy out of the lineup in Ty Jerome and putting in a pass-first. I'm going to feed the big. I'm going to attack every mismatch that they switch on these pick and rolls. Evan, get your ass to the block because I'm giving you the rock, and you better put a mouse in the house and score type of situation. I love the move. Will he be a playoff riser like in Nemhard or Neesmith? Your guess is as good as mine, Spence. He's got to be healthy enough first to be in a playoff game. And then secondly, is he built for that? I kind of have a gut feeling he is, just based on his upbringing, his time at UCLA, everything he's been through, his father, his brothers. Like, I don't think he's scared of the moment. And if he can be a contributor for the Cavs in a playoff series, it gives them some versatility. And I'm curious, very curious, if Kenny's ever going to show us the DG, Don, and Lonzo lineup all at the same time. Because I think that has a chance to be a lot of fun.
That's the one that I keep going back to, because that's what we saw that with Ty last year. And it's a little bit of a different dynamic, though. Like you said, Lonzo is going to have everybody else do the scoring when he can set them up. And Lonzo's going to take some threes here and there. Like, let's not say he's going to just completely be the pass first guy and get out of everybody else's way, but he just has a good nose for the ball. You said it best. I think connector is a really good term. And I think the rebounding piece of this too is really interesting for me. And I know his athleticism isn't what it once was pre-injury, but he crashes the glass pretty decently on the defensive end. And I think that can be really underrated, especially if he's going to get breaks started by himself and he's going to have somebody trailing as soon as he gets a ball. And then you launch it up the floor, almost Kevin Love style. And again, Tyrese Halliburton, going back to that same example, I think that it's a good change. It's different because they are going to have to go by committee to replace Ty Jerome scoring. They're going to have to get a lot out of Lonzo. They're going to have to get significant growth from Craig Porter Jr. and Jalen Tyson. I think you have to do that, kind of mix everybody together and have them make up for it. Sam Merrill's going to have to score off the bench too. So it's a collective effort to replace everything Ty Jerome brings to the table, but I think you got a little bit more balance now.
For sure. What did you take of Larry Nance Jr.'s reunion with the Cavs media beat? I don't know many guys who were here when he was here last time that are still on the beat now, but he seemed pretty darn happy to be back in Cleveland.
I'm one of the contingent, I can say that. He walked in the door and I was like, look what the cat drug in. But it was good to see Junior, man. He's just always so genuine and he's real. I think authentic doesn't come around very much in this business. You can hear a lot of canned answers from athletes. You can hear all of the cliches in the world, but he's just real. I'll say this from a on-court perspective. Kenny's not going to need more than 15 to 20 minutes out of him all year. It's going to be perfect. He's going to have to give Evan Mobley or Jared Allen a blow, and that's it. Like, it's not anything like he's going to be this high-usage, amazing player. Like, Larry's going to come in. He's going to get his tip backs. He's going to get his tip-ins. He's going to get the rebounds. And he's also going to find cutters from that middle area. He's really good at that dribble handoff stuff. And I think with Kenny's cutting principles, that could be really, really advantageous when he's playing either with Evan or J.A. too, because I'm sure that he'll play the 4 and the 5. JB at Bickerstaff played him at the 3 even. So maybe we'll see even some weird lineup with him, Wade, and Hunter or something. I don't know. But Kenny will definitely use him in the right way. The other thing, too, about Larry Nance Jr. is since he's departed Cleveland, he has become a pretty reliable three-point shooter.
Very good.
To stretch the floor now. Yes, exactly. So that part's a bit new. For him, it's all about staying healthy. Again, going back to the Lonzo Ball stuff, got to make sure that performance staff has his conditioning right, has his nutrition right, and I think that's from an on-court perspective what you can expect from Larry Nance Jr. From an off-court perspective, I think being a leader is going to be one of his best traits, but he even said it himself. He's not going to come in and demand, like, oh, follow the leader. I'm telling you how to do everything the right way, because he's got to figure out his own stuff. He hasn't been to that finals since 2018 when he got traded here. And I think the fact that he's finally played in a couple playoff series between New Orleans, between I think it was Atlanta, like that has helped him in experience as far as knowing what the physicality is going to bring, know what the moment's going to bring. He even admitted that he wasn't ready for that stage in 2018. He flat out came out and said that I don't think that I understood the actual stage. And now he's proclaiming that he's ready, and there's no other way to do it but to show it. And he's going to try and lead by example. And it's somebody that he's extremely happy to be here, first of all. But second of all, to be able to do it and see this new iteration and see the growth of Darius Garland and all that stuff, it's almost like the perfect combination.
I'll keep my Larry Nance Jr. thoughts short because he covered most of it, but I'm excited to see what he brings from a locker room standpoint, replacing Tristan Thompson in that role. And I need Kenny to just keep him in bubble wrap to the playoffs because the Cavs did not have a playable third big last year. And then the injuries happened and it became even more evident they needed somebody who could give them a few quality minutes in relief of Evan and Jared. And Larry Nance should be able to provide that in ways that Dean Wade just hasn't been able to do in the playoffs.
It's going to help Dean too, because now Dean can slide down maybe to that 4.
Where he's more natural. He's not really he's a 3-4, not a 5. So
exactly.
And I mentioned this stat before. I just want to mention it again. According to Cleaning the Glass, Larry Nance was the single most efficient 3-point shooter for any big man in the NBA last year. Small minutes, small sample size, but he finished in the 100th percentile in overall threes, the 98th percentile and above the break threes, and the 89th percentile in corner threes. If he can shoot like that again for Cleveland next year, even a slight dip in efficiency for an increase in volume, the Cavs have found a pretty good vet minimum for that 14th roster spot.